Happy New Year, ladies and gentlemen. We made it, kind of. Hashtag New Year, New You. 2022. I don't want to get sidetracked, but as an Eldar fan, I'm pretty pumped for this year. We're finally getting new things. Hopefully this year will bring bigger and better things for Kill Team as well. But in the meantime, I'm sorry I've been off the radar for a little bit. I wanted to post a video before I went on holiday, but didn't get around to it, so I'm sorry about that. But hopefully now the new videos are going to come thick and fast, so keep an eye out. Today I want to talk about Kill Team. It seems like there's more and more people talking about Kill Team now, which is a great thing. Some really cool new channels that have popped up over the past few months that I'm really enjoying watching, on top of the older channels that are out there too. But I kind of want to focus on the new players out there just getting into the game. As seems to be the trend these days, everybody seems to be talking about the competitive side, which is cool, don't get me wrong. I'm keen to get on the competitive circuit myself and do some tournaments, because I feel like that's a really good way to learn and obviously meet new people and stuff like that. But I got into this to have fun, and you know, if I hit the competitive scene, then that's going to be for fun too. I'm not going to take it too seriously. I want to meet some more of the community, hang out, play some games, blow some stuff up. It's going to be great. But as you will quickly realise, I am very passionate about this idea that you don't need to be the best at anything. You don't need to be the best at the game. You don't need to be the best at the painting. You just need to have fun. And it's always kind of daunting to start, because if you want to find information about, you know, how to get going quickly, most of the content that's out there is all about like high tier playing and painting. It's, you know, learning to paint like an absolute boss and learning to play like a competitive player. And I mean, that's got a tremendous amount of value, but I feel that we need to kind of talk a little bit more about getting started, like the dirt basics, getting into the game, and the painting too as well. You know, most of the painting focus on this channel is going to be about getting started as quickly as possible, like not being the best, not winning any competitions, just getting good results very, very fast, which we'll get to. So this is going to be my tier list, as it were, for Kill Team. I want to remind you guys that this is only my opinion, and my opinion doesn't mean shit, so you can take it or leave it. I don't mind. I'd love to have a discussion with you guys. Some of this list you're not going to agree with, and that's cool. So this is not like a competitive tier list. What are the best 5 factions in the game right now? I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in what are the 5 coolest factions that are easy to grasp, that you can start with getting into Kill Team. What I feel are the most fun, be it kind of the aesthetic of it or whether it's just the mechanics of the team. There's a number of different reasons why I've picked the factions on this list, but the chances are you're not going to agree with them, and that's fine. But that being said, please keep an open mind and feel free to chime in on the comments and let me know what you think. And for you people out there that are new to the hobby, welcome along, and I hope you enjoy this. I hope you learn something from it, and I hope you get a little bit of inspiration. But please bear in mind that the only person that can put any value on these opinions is you. You're going to agree or you're going to disagree, and there's no right or wrong to that. Play the teams that you love, that you like the look of, that you think you're going to enjoy painting, and that you think are going to be fun on the tabletop. I've also factored in how easy these teams are to play, so not necessarily how strong they are, but just mechanically and like for simplicity, how easy they are to field. Like if you're just getting into the hobby, if you just need to start off playing your mate, you're both new, and you just need to get a feel for the game. I feel like these 5 factions are a good place to start. You're going to have fun, but it's not going to blow your mind too much on the first few run-throughs. These teams are all from the compendium, which you can pick up from Games Workshop. Now, compendium. They're not your strongest teams. There are a few teams in there that are still strong in the meta, but as the new kill team specific or bespoke factions come out, these are basically going to be replaced. But that's not what this is about right now. This is about where we are now. I still kind of think that these teams are going to be a good starting point going forward anyway, just in terms of learning the game. So hopefully this isn't going to age too badly. So without further ado, these are my top 5 beginner factions for Kill Team. I love Harlequins, man. I've been in love with Harlequins since I started getting into 40k in like 96, 97. I just think they're so dope, man. Now, the small print on this is that I've chosen this one purely based on heart. If I'm going to be completely honest, it's probably realistically not in the top 5 of beginner factions, but the cool factor is so great, and they're actually not too complicated to play. It's just that they're unforgiving, right? Despite being a compendium faction, they are one of the strongest teams in the game. They're so sneaky and cagey. They do have a bit of a learning curve, but I don't think they're necessarily a bad faction to choose as a beginner. The real pros to my argument really are the fact that they are just a very cool faction with some very cool mechanics. But at their core, you know, they're still a faction where predominantly they're all basically the same, right? Generally speaking, like, you might change up the weapons ever so slightly, but typically speaking, you're going to have 5 dudes with shuriken pistols and embraces, and then a couple of gunners with neurodisruptors or fusion pistols, and then a leader with a neurodisruptor or a fusion pistol. There's not like vast differences between each model. They're not going to take that long to learn, really. And they also look sick. I'm biased because, you know, I'm a massive Eldar fanboy, but they just look great. Their lore is cool as hell as well, like their background. The biggest benefit for them, I think, from a perspective of playing the game and learning the game, is that they've got flip belts, right? Which actually makes the movement side of it hugely streamlined. You don't need to worry too much about climbing and scaling stuff and dropping off vantage points and things like that. It just makes it easy to just move your stuff, right? Get it where you want to be. You just need to measure the distance and bam, you're not faffing around too much with, you know, the climbing and all that kind of stuff. Again, loadout's pretty simple as well. I like to just give them all embraces. I'll occasionally give my leader a power weapon because I like power weapons. I like the lethal 5-up. But generally speaking, I'll take the embraces for that sweet, sweet brutal. Gunners, you get 2 gunners in the squad. I tend to give them neurodisruptors because I like the stun. They've got AP, but they've also got that little bit of extra range. And then I typically just take a fusion on the leader, and he's my crumpy boy that just kind of gets in when he can and does loads of kind of point blank damage. They're a cool team, man. They're so much fun to play. They're frustrating to play, like being on the other end of them. Like I say, they're kind of a sneaky, cagey faction, and that means that they can be very unforgiving. My main justification for them being at number 5 is like just jumping at the deep end, right? They may be a little bit unforgiving, but they're an easy faction to kind of get to grips with. It's not difficult to build a list. Their strats are fairly straightforward. The movement's dead easy. They're not too difficult to paint, is another thing. Now, I know what you're thinking. Generally, when most people think of Harlequins, they think of, like, you know, endless diamonds and, you know, gems and things like that. But it's actually, if you take all of that away, I hate diamonds on infantry anyway. I think they suck. I you know, it's an unpopular opinion, but I don't think it looks good. It doesn't help that I'm a really lazy painter, so of course I'm going to say that. but I don't like it. I love it on vehicles. I think that looks great, and you can stencil it on vehicles. That's not too bad. And obviously, kill team, you're not using vehicles anyway. But I still think that Harlequins without diamonds still look dope. You can be, you can give them loads of character and loads of color. Yeah, they're sick. I love them. They may be a little bit harder to paint than some of the other factions, especially some of the other factions on this list. But I can't have a list without having an Eldari faction on there. Sorry, can't do it. I love them. So they were going on this list no matter what. So screw you guys. It's my list. I can do what I want. So at number 4, this is gonna probably ruffle a few feathers. This is kind of blasphemous for me to say, but bear with it. Astartes, Space Marines. Now, it's no secret that they're not very strong at the moment in the meta, but as I should have established, that is not important to this list. What is important is that they are very, very easy to get to grips with. They're easy to paint. And as a beginner faction, I think honestly, if you've got a friend to get into Kill Team with, and you just want to get to grips with the game for a few sessions, then one of the best things you could probably do is for both of you to field like assault intercessors, and just play a few games to get the mechanics down, because they're not bad, right? But the beauty of them is that they're so simple, right? They're so balanced. You've just got their bolt pistols and their chain swords. That's everything you need. You've got a bit of shooting. You've got a bit of melee. Have at it. That might well be the absolute best way of starting off in Kill Team. Split a box of assault intercessors with your mate, right? You each get 5. Paint them up however you want, and just get started. Get stuck in. Amazing. Marines get a little bit of stick in Kill Team at the moment, because they're not very good in the meta. But again, that shouldn't really matter. And before too long, no doubt, we're going to get some bespoke Space Marine factions, and they're going to be ridiculously overpowered. Marines, right? They get all the toys. I think honestly, all it would take to balance them in the meta is to just give them another model. Right? If you could take 6 Marines, all of a sudden they'd be strong again. It's just things like assault intercessors and some of the other flavors of Astartes are just a little bit boring, a bit bland, right? But again, super simple if you're just starting out. So that's a pro, right? I would say that Deathwatch are by far the best Astartes team. I love playing Deathwatch. I think they're really fun. Again, I kind of wish I could take a 6th model, because then they'd be great. But the cool thing about Deathwatch is that you can take 5 completely different models with their own character and their own mechanics, and I love that. And they're some of the most fun models to build and paint too. They're cool as hell, and I will not hear otherwise. So number 3, now we're getting into the meat of the list. So I made my decision on the top 3 based on the fact that they're not only really cool and their background and lore is really awesome, but also because from a hobby point of view, they're a doddle to build and paint. As you'll get to know, I'm an incredibly lazy painter. I like to get my models finished as quickly as possible. I am a little bit of a perfectionist in that I like them to look good, right? I like them to look tidy and cool, and it's nice when a friend says, "Oh man, you painted that, that's really rad." So I want them to look good, but I don't want to spend hours and hours and hours on each model, right? It's not for me. I do get a lot of joy in painting, and sometimes, if I'm painting a character or a vehicle or something, I'll spend a lot of time on it if I really want it to look good. But for Kill Team, one of the coolest things about it is that you can decide to have a game one day, and you can go out and buy a box of something, and you can build it, and you can paint it, and you can play them that evening, right? getting to grips with like speed painting some of these factions is definitely a good thing, and we will get into that. So I'm going to cover these factions and obviously more. So that's a big factor for these last 3 teams. So the hobby side as well as on the tabletop. So number 3 is Necrons, Tomb World. Again, not the most powerful faction. I do actually really rate them. I think they're cool. The con with them is that they're slow, right? But their shooting's great. There's not a lot of melee, but they're just so cool. They're, again, just so flavorful. For those of you that don't know, their whole shtick is that they can like regenerate and come back to life and stuff. It's incredibly frustrating for your opponent, and it's just a really neat trick, right? Plus they're like little Terminators. They just look so cool. So my Necron or Tomb World kill team is a chunk of warriors and then some immortals, which I think is probably the way most people field them. Mostly just shooting. So that's kind of why they're not higher up on the list, because I actually think that they're a really, really great faction for a beginner, just based on how quick they are to paint. And again, just because of the sort of character that they have. If you're a beginner looking for something interesting, then I think they're a really great choice. Are just so rewarding to paint. Like, you can knock out a Necron in 20 minutes. Prime them black with a rattle can and then dry brush some silver over the top of them and just kind of slap on some green, and oh man, they look so good. So if you're a younger player, or you're just a lazy painter like I am, or you're a complete novice and you're like really unsure, then give them a whirl. They're great. Cool strats, cool guns, they look like Terminator. You can't go wrong. Number 2, these guys were broken for the first like few months of Kill Team. Talons of the Emperor, Custodies. They're still strong as hell. They've got incredibly strong strats, incredibly strong data sheets. They look amazing. They're so easy to paint, arguably even easier than Necrons. And you can do loads of cool stuff with them. The one downside, in my opinion, I've not tried them using sisters as well. I generally only run them as 2 fire teams of 2 custodian guard. You've only got 4 models, so it's not a great opportunity to learn the mechanics of the game. But a cool flip side of that is that you've got a lot of Overwatch. For those of you that don't know, overwatching basically means that once you have finished all of your activations, after every activation that your opponent makes, you get to basically have a free shoot action, which is incredibly strong if you've got 4 very, very strong shooting models and your opponent is fielding a kill team of 8 models, right? Because they're going to have to be really cautious about where they place stuff and what they do. I think a good opportunity to get into the hobby quickly and easily. The one small print I'll put on that is that it can make you get a bit lazy playing a strong team like that. And I'm all about playing weaker teams, honestly, just for the fun of doing it. Like I like playing teams with some character, and to give myself a little bit of a challenge. But ultimately, I just kind of want to have fun. And the Custodies, you know, they're a fun, powerful faction. Like I say, they look great. They paint easily. What's not to love, right? Henry Cavill's choice too. So, for what it's worth, Superman likes Custodies. So pay heed. Cavill's an absolute dude. So go Custodies. I can't wait to do a hobby video about Custodies. Honestly, they're one of my favourite models to paint. So easy, so quick, but the finished article is always just so eye-catching. You get that gold right, man, they look so good. A few little gemstones on there. You don't need to paint them. Once you've got gems down, you know, they're pretty much a joy to paint anyway. Man, they just look so dope. I've got a slightly cross-eyed one without a helmet, which I love. He's got a cape on there, and I love doing the capes. So So yeah, I'll do a little speed painting tutorial very soon on custodies, so keep an eye out for that. In my opinion, the #1 beginner kill team has got to be tyranids, or Hive Fleet as they're known in the compendium. I've got a feeling the strongest way to field them is 2 fire teams of 5 gene stealers, which is cool, but I like a little bit of variation. So 5 gene stealers and 3 warriors with those forearms going everywhere. Love them. So I like a warrior fighter with 3 bone swords and a lash whip. You get that sneaky extra attack, is really cool, but still got a little bit of range. Heavy gunner with a venom cannon, of course. A couple of bone swords or a lash whip and a bone sword. And then the leader, you can either give a little bit of extra shooting if you want it, or you can set him up pretty much like the fighter, just with melee and a lash whip. Both really cool options. Man, the models look great. They're super easy to paint. Gene Stealers, even easier. Double Rending Claws, they're so good. Super sneaky, scary faction. Very strong still in the meta, even against the bespoke teams. Very simple loadouts, so not too complicated in terms of building lists and playing them. They can play the whole game. They've got relatively limited shooting, but the shooting is still good. The strats are super strong and really cool and very fluffy, which I love. And they are probably the easiest faction in the whole game and in 40k to paint. I've got a very simple and easy method to paint them, which I think looks great. So my next video is going to be all about speed painting tyranids. So if you're not counting the time it takes for the layers to dry, actual painting time, probably I can churn through a model in 20 minutes, 25 minutes. They're so simple to paint, but they just look awesome. A couple of contrast paints and some dry brushing. So easy. A dream to paint. The reason they're topping the list rather than custodies really is that you've got options, right? And the simplicity of playing them. You can start off playing 2 fire teams of Gene Stealers, and then once you get used to the mechanics of the game, or want to add some shooting or whatever, you can switch one of those fire teams up, stick some warriors in, and get blasting away. And there are always options for the swarm side as well, like sticking on some termagants. It's an option. It's not particularly strong, but you know, it's flavorful and it's cool. And again, it's kind of fluffy, right? That's kind of what they do, is sort of overwhelm with their numbers. So it's pretty dope, especially if you're playing like a narrative game. Yeah, that could be cool as hell. Another really cool plus point to NIDs from a hobby standpoint. If you've ever built Gene Stealers, they're so cool because they've got the sort of socket and ball arm attachments. You can just place their arms wherever you want, and so you can get some really cool poses with them. And the other thing is there's really no limitation to what colors you paint them. You can do whatever you want and they'll always look really amazing. You're a bit more limited with most of the other factions. You know, yeah, you can paint anything, especially in Kill Team. You can paint anything however you want, pretty much. But there's more scope, I feel, with space bugs because, you know, they're space bugs. So if you're new to Kill Team, I really hope this helps. Good luck, have fun. If I help to influence your faction choice, then let me know what you decided upon, and I'd love to hear how you got on with them. If you're already a Kill Team player, then also chime in. I would really love to know your thoughts. I'd love to know what factions that you started with, what you would do differently, whether or not you agree with my list, and if not, how you would change it. If you're finding yourself a little bit daunted about starting in Kill Team, then this hopefully is the video for you. It should point you towards some cool factions that are fun to play, simple mechanically, and are easy to get to grips with on the painting front. Whether you're a new or a seasoned player, remember that it's not about beating your opponent, it's about having fun with your mates. My next video is going to be all about speed painting Gene Stealers so you can get them onto the tabletop quickety quick, looking amazing. So if you think that's up your street, or you enjoyed this video or any of my previous videos, please think about subscribing. You can also find me on Instagram at grimdorktabletop. I've really enjoyed getting to know some of you guys on there and seeing some of your ridiculously good painting. It really, really does get me pumped to paint my own minis. So thank you all for that. But for now, enjoy your games, enjoy your painting, and I will catch you on the next one.